Welcome to the Rocky Mount Area Chamber Buzz. We are delighted to have as our guest today Dr. John Derbyshire, the 2013 Distinguished Citizen of the Year. Our show today is proudly brought to us by Roger G. Taylor and Associates to help you learn more about what's going on in our community. Let's take a look at some recent events.
Y'all, Julia, you want us to look at you?
Yeah, I'm gonna figure this one out. Right here.
Come on now, I can't hold my stomach in too long.
I can tuck in. Let's see, that was a trial run. Say, Prime Smokehouse.
Prime Smokehouse.
Thank you.
Supposed to take a picture about it.
Good morning. I'm David Combs, Mayor of Rocky Mount, and we're downtown in the Douglas Block in our newest business in downtown Rocky Mount, the Prime Smokehouse here, and we've got the owners here, Yalom and Ed Wiley and Beverly Ringer. They're down here together, and I don't know how many of you have been down to the Douglas Block lately, continuing to have new tenants, and I've been here, I've eaten here. The food is absolutely wonderful. When you talk about brisket and you talk about pork, this is a great place to come eat. Everybody that I know of has had great meals down here, had nothing but wonderful things to say about the business. But on behalf of the city of Rocky Mount and our city manager standing right here behind us, and this has certainly been a big initiative for Rocky Mount, is not only to redevelop downtown, but also have a key restaurant in downtown Rocky Mount, and y'all have done that and done it extremely well. But so on behalf of the city of Rocky Mount, I want to present you with this. It just says City of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, presented to Prime Smokehouse on the occasion of your ribbon cutting and grand opening with sincere best wishes, and we hope you have the best of luck down here, and if you continue like you have been doing and the food continues to stay like it is, I don't think you're going to have any problem at all. So it's we're glad to have you in downtown Rocky Mount. Congratulations and best of luck to you. And I'm going to let Sherlyn speak on behalf of the chamber.
Thank you very much, and it's my honor. I'll be the first to say I think this is my 5th time down here, and I'm going to have lunch in just a second. I've had takeouts, I've eaten in, and it's absolutely wonderful. It's great to have this, and it's great to have you downtown, and there's nothing I want more to see Rocky Mount's downtown grow and have more businesses like this and very successful businesses, and we wish you all the very best, and thank you. That's all I can say is just thank you very much.
I do see Mary Wells over here, our county commissioner. We're glad that she's here with us today. And I'm going to see if Ed or Yalom want to say anything. But there's a long history here with this restaurant and probably some of the recipes that they use. And I'm just going to let y'all tell us a little bit about the restaurant and how you ended up coming to Rocky Mount.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I mean, we can't express our gratitude enough for the way we've been welcomed and received here in Rocky Mount. It was us in Raleigh, North Carolina, running the same kind of a restaurant. And a lot of people from Rocky Mount would come up from weekend to weekend, and they'd say, you know, we need one of these in Raleigh, in Rocky Mount, excuse me. We need one of these in Rocky Mount. And we were invited to come down, take a look at the city, see what they were doing, and we were astonished at just how much energy and effort had been put into redeveloping the downtown area. And guess what? We wanted to be a part of it. Initially, we thought we'd have a place in Raleigh and one in Rocky Mount, and we came here and we got so caught up into the whole process of the thing, we said, you know what, let's pack our bags, hang our shingle in Rocky Mount, and call it a day. and we haven't looked back since. We're very thankful. We appreciate it. We thank you for your prayers, your support, your patience, and all those sorts of things. So I just wanted to give it back to you and say thank you for receiving us as well as you have, and we appreciate that.
Well, now, let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
You're doing not only the meals here, but you have entertainment and that type of thing. So why don't you talk about that
Yes.
a little bit?
You know, as many of you know, my father was a very well-known jazz musician, Ed Wiley Jr. He was also a fabulous cook. And the thing that he really was good at was digging a deep hole in the backyard, slow smoking beef briskets and spare ribs and all kinds of things. And he'd have a jam session right there in the yard. And it would be, and this is growing up outside of Philadelphia. We'd pick all these wonderful fruits that grew in the backwoods in our house. People say woods in Philadelphia, but yeah, there was woods there. We picked all of these fruits, and my father could turn anything into a delicious pie. And so the tradition continues here, you know, and not just with the food and the wonderful dishes that he cooked, but also his tradition in music. And unfortunately, I lost him a couple years ago, but his spirit lives strong here. And one of the mainstays of what we're doing here now will be the live music. And the third week of July, we'll kick off our weekend dinner jazz series every Friday and Saturday night, 9 o'clock. We'll do 2 shows. So for those folks who don't turn into, you know, wrapping a cocoon after 9 o'clock, you want to come out and enjoy that. And, you know, we bring different groups from all over the country. And the good thing is that we even find some right here in North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina, to sort of buttress the sort of national compilation of musicians that we bring through. So we're really grateful for that. We're in a hotbed of good music, the home of Thelonious Monk and Harold Vick and a lot of the great musicians who come from this region and who've come through this region or who are from this region. So we're very thankful. We think that this place really presents a broad opportunity as far as music, good food, and all those things that are happening. And one of the things that when we first started in Garner, North Carolina, in 2008, when we first kicked this thing off, the one thing that people really appreciated about our restaurant was that it was a place where different people came together. And it crosses age barriers and race barriers and all those sorts of things, and just people come together, have a good time, because everybody wants the same thing. They want a clean environment, they want a safe environment, they want to eat good food, and they want to click their finger to some good music. We all want the same thing. So, and this place presents such an opportunity, and we're very, very grateful for it. I know somebody else has to say something besides me.
That's fun. So thank you so much for having us here in Rocky Mount. We really appreciate it, like you said, and we're looking forward to kicking off the music, and hopefully the coffee shop is going to be a big part of this thing that we're doing, and we're going to try to get that up and running in the next couple of weeks, and Yalam's going to be the head of that. And so we've got good things to come, and we really appreciate being here. And thank you.
Welcome back, and it is such a privilege that we are going to get to visit with the 2013 Distinguished Citizen of the Year, Dr. John Derbyshire. And John, I have to say, I don't think there were many dry eyes in the room when you were announced as the winner of that. And such a humble servant, such a wonderful caregiver, health caregiver, and so beyond that, in making our community a better place, that we all just celebrated right there with you.
Well, thank you. It was a special evening for me and my family, and I think especially for the community and the free clinic. So it was a surprise and a pleasant evening, and I was shocked.
Well,
yeah.
And that we knew you were, and that made it all the more endearing. Let's take a look. Gaylord Lehman, who is just positively one of the best orators of all times, had the privilege of leading up, and it's a surprise if you haven't attended one of these. We don't know who he's talking about, and the momentum builds as he gives more and more clues. But so let's take a look at that, and we'll be back after that.
One of the happiest things that I get to do from time to time is to introduce and announce the Chamber's Distinguished Citizen Award. Over the years, the one quality of all of these winners has been that they have consistently enhanced the quality of life in our community. These persons are a veritable who's who of our city. In past years, most of the recipients have been homegrown. Many of them graduated from Rocky Mount High School, and they came back from college to work in their own hometown, to run a family business, or to begin a new venture. But in recent years, we've also honored those who have come to us from other places, and those who have helped lift us out of our provincialism of eastern North Carolina. Previously, we have honored persons from almost every profession: business, industry, law, education, politics. Tonight is a first. Tonight is the first time that we will recognize someone from the medical profession. Among our community's greatest assets are our doctors and the quality of medical care that is available to us in our city. Tonight's award is, in a way, an honor for all of those who prescribe Tamiflu and replace knees and give stress tests and administer chemotherapy and read x-rays and all of the other things that doctors do to promote health and wellness. The doc that we honor this year is one of those persons who has come to us from outside our area. He came here referring to us as you guys, because he didn't know how to say y'all and all y'all. He has had a learning curve. And the reason for that is that he grew up in a small town in the Midwest in northern Ohio. He graduated from The Ohio State University, received his medical education there, went on to Duke for his residency, and came to Rocky Mount in the mid-1970s. He proudly flies a flag with a scarlet letter on it, a big red O. For 2 years, he played football for the Buckeyes under legendary coach Woody Hayes, before he himself was sidelined by a medical issue. And every year, on the last weekend of the football season, he still wears a big button that says, "Beat Michigan," which leaves most of his patients rather puzzled, because that doesn't mean a lot to us here in the ACC. If you ask why tonight's winner receives this award, I would answer in 2 parts. One is that he is an amazingly talented physician, and his compassion for people is his hallmark. But that could be said for most of the physicians who serve us in our community. So probably the primary reason for this award is the way our recipient put that compassion to work for the poor and the underprivileged and those who live on the underside of life. For him, that meant a strong desire to offer medical care for those uninsured and unable to afford it. Back in 2007, a group of people met informally to discuss a free medical clinic in our city. In every group that advocates a cause, there has to be one person who is willing to roll up his or her sleeves and tackle the nuts and bolts of putting the project together. Tonight's honoree became the moving force behind that free clinic to help meet those needs. He recruited other doctors. He enlisted volunteers. He led fundraising. He sought out a building. He helped hire a director. The result was the beginning, in 2008, of the Tar River Mission Clinic, which began providing care for the low income and the uninsured. Since that time, he has continually treated clinic patients and chaired the board that oversees clinic operations. I'm not going to bore you with statistics, but two figures stand out. In the past 4.5 years, there have been more than 6,000 patient visits to the Tar River Mission Clinic. That clinic has provided or arranged over $4 million worth of free medical health services. Nash Healthcare Systems has been an invaluable supporter by providing clinic space and free laboratory and radiology services. But it was our recipient who was the founding father, who helped give birth to the idea and who stayed with it from conception all the way through to fulfillment. He answered the biblical challenge to do it for the least of these who are unable to afford their own care. Our honoree has not accomplished these things by himself. He was lovingly supported by his wife and partner, Irene, until her death. After a time, along came Sharon to relight the candle and to provide a new sense of purpose. His daughter, Kim, and Sharon's adult children, Heath, Amber, and Jessica, complete the immediate family. And there may even be some other family members and good friends who are lurking somewhere in the shadows tonight to help celebrate this event with him. I was his patient. He was my parishioner. But most of all, he is a valued friend. And I know him well enough to know that he will be very, very uncomfortable receiving this award. In fact, our greatest challenge was in figuring out a way to get him here to give it to him. But he is here, and here he is. The winner of this year's Chamber of Commerce Distinguished Citizen Award is Dr. John Derbyshire.
And we're back, and we want to thank Roger G. Taylor and Associates for making this program possible. So be sure and thank him if you see him around town. And John, I'm still grinning from seeing that again, but it was such a surprise for you, and your daughter was there, and Sharon, your wonderful wife, and of course for many, many years the community loved Irene so much, your first wife. But what brought you to Rocky Mount?
Well, it's an interesting story that after med school, I ended up at Duke, where I did my internship and residency. And then it was near the end of the Vietnam War, so I was actually stationed in Fort Bragg. where I spent 2 years in a medical corps at Fort Bragg, thinking I was going to go back to Ohio, and because that's where I grew up and that was my home. I went back there for a year, and then one of my good friends and my partners, Tim Smith, came to practice here in Rocky Mount. And we came and visited and fell in love with Rocky Mount and fell in love with the practice, and that's how we ended up getting here, which was kind of a funny story, funny way to get here.
But internal medicine, so you were in internal medicine for how many years?
Well, guys, 45 years, yeah. Graduated from med school in 1971.
And people just love you. I remember when you announced that you were retiring, people just, oh, say it isn't so. I mean, that just, because you were so much more than a physician, you were a friend. You really, really deeply care about your patients.
I feel like I was the one who was privileged to be allowed to take care of patients and have them fully trust you with their life and other things. It's truly an honor and a privilege. So, and they became my family. They truly did, and went through a lot of joy with them and heartaches and things like that. So it was a privilege for me, and miss my patients dearly. There's some things about the practice I don't miss, but certainly my patients, yes.
Well, we're so glad you stayed in the community. I mean, for a number of reasons, but I'm sure you see them around town, and they just probably can't get through a meal without having a number of them come up in public and want to talk to you. But you had a vision in 2008, I believe, that there were a lot of uninsured people, a lot of people who weren't getting health care. And a lot of people knew about that, but you decided to do something about it.
Well, I was one of many, many people. There was already an organization to help with people get medications, drug assistance program, medication assistance program. And there had been some effort to try to expand that into actually seeing patients and taking care of them. So that was already going, and a lot
through
of
the churches, I think the churches were taking the lead in that.
Yes, a lot of that. So that was happening, and then some of the churches again began to realize that the community needed this. That a lot of the physicians. And it was a group of us. I think at our first meeting there were 20, 30 of us. As these meetings went on, we at times we had up to 100 people who were there, who all had interest for the community to do this. At the time we did that, we were Nash and Edgecombe counties were one of the few counties that did not have a free clinic available. So it was through the effort of a lot of people at that time that we began the process. And as we were sitting here talking, I think the most exciting thing about this whole process was that whenever the clinic needed something, somebody stepped up, and from the very beginning, the day one, until even as of last week, that somebody was there to make this go the next step and make it happen again. So a lot of people behind the scenes that have made this a very special thing. So.
And Nash Healthcare Systems too has been an integral partner, haven't they? Integral
part of this. We started out not knowing where we were going to see patients, actually Edgecombe County stepped in, and they had a spot available in one of their clinics right across in the Edgecombe County, and so they stepped up and offered that. Nice Healthcare System at that point stepped in and offered to do some of the testing for us, laboratory testing and x-rays. So this all happened, and then we outgrew that little clinic in Edgecombe County very quickly. And Nice Healthcare Systems came and said, listen, we have a space, and you're welcome to use it, and it's just a beautiful facility.
Already set up in Life Care, the Life Care facility, the old community hospital had the examining rooms and everything.
Examining rooms there, nice waiting room, very nice, and so it was as nice as any private physician office in our community. So we felt very good about our patients coming to a facility that was very welcoming and nice. So they've been great. They continue to support, with laboratory testing and X-rays and some financial assistance, and so it's been a great partnership with them. Also work with Nash County Health Department. They've been a big part of this. They've done a lot of things with helping us, and so it's been just a community effort, everybody involved.
With, I think as Gaylord said, over $4 million in free services, over 6,000 people have been seen more since he made those comments in January. Tell us the human part of it. What have you seen as the human part?
Oh gosh, there were so many good stories. Yeah, I guess as a physician, one of the things that when you go to med school, you have this idea of providing care for the needy, and that's one thing as a physician. It was is a great story, but I think the one story was a lady that came in who had diabetes, bad diabetes, who had multiple hospitalizations, and as she left the hospital, really didn't have anybody physician-wise to take care of her, and she's one of our very first patients, and she has not had to go back in the hospital.
Right.
The stories are just are amazingly good, so I could go on and on about it.
John, I'm sure you're still involved in the clinic, but what are you doing that's fun?
Well, one nice thing, I've been spending a lot more time with my family, not only the family here in Rocky Mount, but my family that's back in Ohio. So I've been able to travel, go back and spend some time with them.
You're taking a course?
I hate to admit this, I'm going back to school.
Good.
And so I'm going back to Nash Community College and taking a class this summer. It's been wonderful and exciting, and it's been a long time since I've taken a test, so it's a little bit of a stress, but it's been fun. So I've just had some good time. And somebody asked me the other day what I did the day before, and I said I have no idea. But the day was full, and what am I going to do? I have no idea. But it's I've enjoyed these months. Yes.
Well, and we want you to.
Thank
So
you.
well deserved, and thank you so much for all that you've done for our community.
Yeah, thank you. I've been privileged to be part of Rocky Mount.
Well, and for many years to come.
I hope so.